Sleep is one of the universal experiences that binds all humans, regardless of the era in which they live. But while we may assume that people have always slept the way we do now, history reveals a very different story. By looking closely at how people in ancient Rome slept, we can see how something as mundane as bedtime opens a window into their daily lives, their beliefs about health, and even their connection to the spiritual world. In the days of Rome, life ran according to the rhythms of nature. Without the glow of electric lights or the distractions of late-night television, Romans timed their activities, including sleep, around the rising and setting of the sun. Most Romans would end their day not long after dusk, allowing natural tiredness to lull them into slumber, and would usually rise with the first rays of morning. However, unlike the modern trend of striving for a solid, uninterrupted night's rest, many Romans, like other ancient peoples, experienced sleep as a segmented affair. This practice, often called first sleep and second sleep, divided the night into two periods of rest, separated by an interval of wakefulness. After a few hours of sleep, individuals might wake in the still depths of the night, not to toss and turn restlessly, but to engage in quiet activities. During this peaceful in-between time, some Romans would pray, reflecting on the day or communicating with their gods and ancestors. Others might make use of the silence to write, read, or ponder the dreams that had just emerged in their minds. It wouldn't be unusual for neighbors to meet quietly, or for friends to share a whispered conversation in these hours. Far from being regarded as insomnia or a sleep disorder, this pattern was simply part of the expected rhythm of life. Where exactly did Romans lay their heads to rest? For the wealthier citizens, Roman homes typically included a small bedroom, known as the cubiculum. Contrary to our expectations of airy, light-filled bedrooms, many cubicula were windowless, creating a dark, protected space for slumber. These rooms were generally small, built for sleeping and little else. Wealthy Romans enjoyed relatively plush comforts, sleeping on wooden bed frames topped with mattresses made of straw, wool, or, for the very fortunate, soft down and linen. Their bedding might be layered with cushions, and the privileged wrapped themselves in woven blankets for warmth. For the less affluent, sleeping arrangements were far more basic. Many Romans lived in cramped apartments called insulae, multi-story buildings that crowded the city's bustling neighborhoods. Here, sleep might take place on a simple straw mat or on a rough wooden platform. Bedding was minimal, and noise from the streets, carts clattering over stones, the braying of animals, and the clamor of late-night festivities could easily intrude. Servants and slaves, meanwhile, often slept in hallways or near their masters' chambers, always ready to attend to their needs, even in the middle of the night. For soldiers stationed at the edge of empire, or travelers on the road, sleep was wherever they could find it, under an open sky, wrapped in a cloak, or beside a campfire. Sleep for the Romans was never just about rest. It was also woven into the fabric of spirituality and belief. Dreams were a subject of intense fascination, and were thought to be messages from the gods or omens sent by the spirits of the dead. Stories of prophetic dreams and their interpretations crop up throughout Roman literature, coloring both personal lives and the great events of history. Leaders like Julius Caesar and Augustus were known to heed the portents found in their dreams, seeking guidance or warning in their nighttime visions. Some citizens even turned to ritual sleep for healing and divination. Temples dedicated to the god Asclepius, the deity of medicine, became sites for what was known as incubation sleep. There, petitioners would spend the night within the temple, hoping the god would send a curative vision or reveal a treatment that could restore their health. Even in their most private, vulnerable hours, Romans encountered the mysteries of the divine. Ancient Roman attitudes toward sleep also reflected early ideas about medicine and well-being. Renowned physicians like Galen emphasized the importance of sleeping in moderation. Too much or too little could disrupt nature's balance and bring about illness. Medical advice often included practical instructions, such as not going to bed right after a heavy meal, a belief that echoes our understanding of healthy sleep even today. The connection between physical health, mental clarity, and adequate rest was well recognized. Despite this awareness, the reality of sleep in ancient Rome was often challenged by the environment. The city itself was a noisy, crowded place. For the working poor in particular, restlessness at night could be unavoidable. Even without the distractions of electronic devices, the world outside, the bustling markets, festivities, late-night revelries, seeped into the fragile silence of sleep. Why does any of this matter to us now? At first glance, the sleep habits of people who lived 2,000 years ago might seem irrelevant or even dull. Yet by peering into the past, we recognize patterns that persist even today. Our modern world, for all its technological advancements, has become a place where sleep is frequently undervalued. We fill our nights with screens, extend the workday well into the evening, and treat rest as a luxury rather than a necessity. The Romans, far from being ignorant or unsophisticated, understood that sleep was about more than bodily repair. It was intimately tied to spiritual well-being, to the rhythms of nature, and to the simple pleasures of reflection and silence. They lived with the awareness that nighttime was a space apart from the demands of daylight, that dreams might be messages, and that health required the gentle closing of the eyes and the surrender to darkness. Perhaps there is something quietly powerful in how the Romans approached sleep, a lesson about honoring our need for rest, about creating boundaries between day and night, and about leaving space for contemplation, mystery, and even the unexpected inspiration that can arise in the stillness of the night. In the end, examining the history of sleep invites us to question how we live today. It reminds us that good sleep is a foundation for health, happiness, and even wisdom. And it challenges us to consider, in our quest for progress, what ancient wisdom might we have left behind? By giving our sleep the respect it deserves, we might just find a stronger, healthier, and more meaningful way to live, both awake and at rest.